I'd like to invite Jean-Michel. He's originally from Rwanda and is a student at Towson University.
All right, first thing I'd like to say is that I feel sorry for all of you. You've heard all this great presentation and now you have to listen to me. And, you know, I look like a weird guy, right? It's not even go to this school. But I'd like to start my presentation with just a little story. So I came to the United States 3 years ago. On my first day, I met my roommate called Thomas, you know, a white, nice guy from Maryland. And he asked me where I was from. And I said I was from Rwanda. Oh, he's like, oh, nice. Is that in Western Maryland? And I said, no, it's in Africa. You all know the weird silence after you say you're from Africa, right? And all of a sudden, everything started changing. You know, all of a sudden, he was scared of me and things were all weird between us. So I started imagining the kind of images that, you know, he had in his mind. And I know that probably somebody leaked pictures of me going to school with my new backpack. It was a very effective bag, by the way. Or even worse, me with my new pet. Yeah, it's a very nice pet. Or even better, just me and my friends just moving, you know, moving around, having fun. But now you can imagine when you learned that I was from Rwanda. Things didn't get any better. So he got pictures like these. All over the internet, he saw pictures of people who were massacring and killing one another. And our relationship didn't become any better. Actually, he was more scared of me. But on the side note, it was a good thing because I could do anything in the room. But basically, what this shows is that these are the only kind of images that people know of Africa. These are the images that Thomas got about Africa. And then that each one of us must provide a counter-narrative if we want to fight this kind of images. So I'd like to start by talking about Rwanda. So Rwanda is a country in East Africa, in the heart of Africa. Rwanda, like many other countries in Africa, was colonized, first by the Germans and later on by the Belgians. When the colonialists came, they found a society that was not perfect, but nevertheless, they found a society living in peace. There were three social groups, the Hutus, the Tutsis, and the Twas. But the colonialists, in order to have, you know, their divide and rule principle, they divided them. They divided them and just turned them against each other so that they could rule them better. So with that, coupled with the politics, because it's always about who has the power, led to the 1994 genocide. On the 6th of April 1994, the plane that was carrying the former president of Rwanda, Habyarimana, was shot down. And instantly, one of the worst genocides in the history of man happened. Neighbors turned against each other. Brothers killed one another. Pastors killing their own congregation for 100 days. And while all of this was happening, the world turned its back on Rwanda. Because for the world, it was just another bloody Africans killing one another. Rommel Dallaire, who was the head of the UN force in Rwanda, said, "Are we all human? Or are some more human than others?" That even though we people of the West do not admit it, but we think that our lives are worth more than the lives of people somewhere else. However, when the genocide ended, 1 million people were killed in 100 days. 1 million poor souls were taken for the sole fact of being born different. But the true victims of genocide are the kids. There are statistics that show that at least 300 people were orphaned by the genocide. But most of all, think about it. How are we going to live together? How are the kids of those who perpetrated the genocide going to live with the kids who lost their parents? How are we going to live together in a society where all these wrongs was done, in a society with nothing, where people died? So 3 years ago, we started an organization called Peace and Love Proclaimers, Youth for a Change. And we started with 7 friends because we understood that we had a responsibility towards one another. We had a responsibility not only to revive the society, but also to make our generation a new generation. Just to give you a few stories of some of the people we started with. I'd like to begin with the D. The D is one of the founding members of PLP. That's how we call ourselves. And the D, during the genocide, lost 80% of his family. And the only reason to why he survived is he was hiding in a church, and he could spend a few days without eating. Daddy lost both his parents, and he lost a lot of members of his family. But Daddy said that I cannot change my past, but I can work so that my kids don't have to live through the same thing. And now he's working hard to change that reality. But one other person is Jean-Paul. Jean-Paul is the man in the middle. During the genocide, Jean-Paul lost 3 brothers and a sister, and both of his parents. His family was killed by his childhood's best friend, people with whom he used to study with, people with whom he used to play with. But then Jean-Paul decided that he forgave them, and he works with them towards bringing a new generation to Rwanda. And if you look at the picture, 2 of the men whom he's holding are the people that killed his parents. But we came to understand that it was not just enough to have a few stories. It was not enough to just have a few of us who were able to reconcile. But it was also important to engage all other people. It was important to bring all people from all walks of life to understand that genocide is a story for all of us. That genocide is a fight that we must have as youth. And this is one of the conferences that we hold each year. It's called Global Forgiveness Conference, where we bring the young people from Rwanda, all walks of life, and we bring them together and we talk about how can we live together. And here, this is a picture that was taken at the Genocide Memorial, where we're taking a 1-minute silence to remember those that died. But also we understood that we must work in a more broader way. So we started a project called Walk to Remember. And it was a project to empower the young people of Rwanda to take a stance against genocide. And just to show you the immensity of it, how do you tell a kid who lost his parents that, hey, this kid whose parents probably killed yours is not your enemy, but your enemy is the kind of injustice that we humans inflict on one another? This is a task that we took on. This is a task we took on because at the end of it, we are the only ones who can do it. So last year, you can see we are able, on the 7th of April, which is the day of commemoration of genocide, we were able to get 15,000 people to come for this walk, a commemorative walk. And these are some of the pictures of the walk of last year. And we had the chance to host the president of Rwanda during this walk. But most of all, we understood that our responsibility is not only towards one another, but our responsibility is also towards everybody, towards the world. So last year we held this walk not only in Rwanda, but in all countries of East Africa. We held the walk in 6 countries. And the reason to that is because we want to empower young people to understand all this conflict. We understand, for them to understand how it's hard to live in a society that was, in a post-genocide society. So we held this walk in all East African countries and UK and India. And this year alone, we're having 20 walks in 9 countries and 4 continents. But we understood that our responsibility was not only to fight against genocide, but also, to transform our society. And how do we do that? First of all, we had to deal with the kids who lost everything, because they did not only lose parents, they lost everything. So through the Watchman visit, we're able to provide certain services for kids who lost their parents. We're able to connect them with, some institution where we can help them. Through the Books for Rwanda, we're able to provide books and resources, not only to the kids who survived the genocide, but also for everyone. Because we understand that the only way that we can change our society is there's no simple solution to that. There's a lot of things that we must do. And then also mentor a child, where we connect some parents or some, good members of the society with some of these kids who need, orientation, who need a lot of these things. For some of you cannot read Kinyarwanda, it's probably like 1 or 2 of you. But what it says there is that our unity is our strength, and that we must be the light of the world. Because, think about it, what we're doing is not short of amazing. How can a country that was, torn by the evil of genocide, 17 years later, how can, kids still be able to sit together and have a meal and talk about all their differences? So we believe that if Rwandese are able to do that, then there's hope. There's hope for all these other African countries who are fighting all these times. There's hope for all these conflict places in the world. And this picture was actually taken, I think, 2 years ago when we had the commemoration, and we were able to get 500 people to light up. These are actually candles that were lighted at the stadium, National Stadium. But it's not about the picture, but it's about hope. What we do is out of hope. Believe me, if it wasn't for hope, we wouldn't be doing anything. And the best definition for hope was given by President Obama, I think, a few years back. He said that hope is that thing inside us that insists, despite all evidence to the contrary, that something better awaits us if we have the courage to reach for it, to work for it, and to fight for it. Hope is the belief that our destiny will not be written for us, but by us. By those men and women who are not content to settle for the world as it is, who have the courage to remake the world as it should be. So in Rwanda, we are transforming our society. We are transforming our society, and I think this is a great message not only for you Africans, but also for the world. Because as Africans, I believe that we need to stop making excuses. We need to stop saying that the task is too hard. What could be harder than living in a post-genocide society? We have to stop making excuses and believing that people will do it for us. But all of that is only through hope. Thank you.